Like, no argument.
I have a great time with my own jokes. And also, like, comics laugh at your own jokes. Like, if you say some shit and it's funny, if you laugh, people follow you naturally.
Yeah, you're cueing the audience. That is here's your sign.
Right.
Don't beat the shit out of the mic when you're laughing.
Oh, God, don't hit the mic.
Don't drop the mic.
Keep it on your chin. That's the easiest thing to do. Just keep it on your chin. Whoever's running sound will EQ and balance as they need to. Like, and keep it in your hand. Don't kick the stool over. Like, unless...
Don't fuck the stool. Like, oh my God, consent comics.
I've done that once.
Oh my God, I've had so many plan Bs for that stool just so I don't end up with a step stool.
Yeah. If you don't own the equipment that you're using, don't abuse it.
And if you break it, pay for it.
Yeah.
Like,
and don't say, no, I'm paying for this. Like,
yeah.
I owe you this. Especially if you get up for free.
Like, yeah. And just watch your nervous energy. Like, video yourself. Watch yourself. Don't post everything you're doing. Watch yourself. If you are sitting there spinning the mic stand around, that's eventually going to break the mic stand, and it distracts the audience.
Right. I mean, a lot of people don't know what to do with their hands, and I mean, one hand on the mic, one in the pocket's always great. If you're an emotive person like I am, just talk with your hand. Like, you don't
talk with hand up.
With one hand. keep the most important thing, I think, is just keep the mic on your fucking chin. Like, keep it close.
Yeah.
Otherwise, nobody can hear you. And, I mean, anything performative, they have to hear you. They have to be able to see you.
Yeah, and look at the audience. This is not a 5th grade, performance. If you're not looking around at the audience, you're not going to catch who's laughing at it. If they're laughing, shut up. Mm-hmm. That's what they're there for. We get paid by the minute.
Right.
If you can get a whole minute of laughter, you're doing good. And if you're not paying attention to that, you're not going to catch the light. And what the light is, if you're unfamiliar, we only have so much time. Yeah. A minute or so, more if you ask specifically and the host or whatever remembers, they will. Usually it's the flashlight of your phone.
Yeah, if you say like, hey, I know my set's 5 minutes. I have this particularly long series of bits that I want to do, or this long thing at the end. I think it would be really good. Do you mind giving me an extra 30 seconds or a minute? Most people will be okay with that.
If you've worked there before. Don't do that as your first time there. Because I've had people, I've been at this 10 years and I'm so funny and I'm great. And they're not. And I've had people, I used to run a comedy club, but they can't set up a mic stand.
Right.
Like, don't lie. Know where you're at. Be honest about it. I had a comic I used to roll with who used to lie about how long they had been a comic. And I'm like... Why are you making it longer? If anything, lie and say you've been in it less time. That way you're better at it.
Right. Yeah, especially if you crush and somebody's like, man, how long have you been doing this? If you say like, I started this year, like that's a great sign. It's a great feather in your hat with that person. Also, one of my biggest pet peeves is when, and it's usually the guys who say shit like, I've been doing this 10 years. They usually also, if they don't get a laugh or a joke doesn't land, they'll be like, that crushed in Cochrane last week, or like, fuck y'all, that shit's funny.
There are no shows in Cochrane.
But like saying something like, so that wasn't funny, we're not going to keep that one, and blah, blah. Like, don't address that your joke didn't land. Just move on. Just roll into the next bit.
And don't say, pushing through, even though Bill Burr said it last time he was here.
Pushing through, or like, all right. Like, just don't even do that. If something doesn't land, literally just start the next bit. Because everybody's waiting for something funny. So when you address that something's not funny, it just adds more time for less funny. That's always so annoying to me. There was one cat a couple months ago who was like, man, I did that last week and that was hilarious. Fuck y'all. And then
that's
he ended
a different crowd.
Then he ended it. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you got to know the room. You got to know your crowd. Like, and again, another reason why you should watch the show. If somebody gets up there and they do a sexist joke and it doesn't land, and not just gets a negative, because there's a difference between getting a negative response or like a groan than it not landing. Like, no response is the worst response, because if somebody groans, we're up there saying ridiculous shit. I expect people to groan sometimes. I've taken my ass out on stage. Of course I'm going to get people hollering at me and cringing and looking away. But if something doesn't land, just roll with it. Like, but if you know the room, you'll know, like, okay, so sexist jokes are not cool, or like, so
we're hating on the gay community in a drag bar. Not the best idea.
Not cool. However, there was whenever the Titan sub shit happened. God rest those people's souls. I was on a show where
I'm so glad I missed that show.
Dude.
Like, I was scuba diving, and I'm like, I am so glad I don't have to hear all these goddamn sub jokes.
there were like 2 or 3 people who went up and tried making a joke about it, but they didn't fully commit, and then they they backed way off of it, and they were like, okay, we're not going to touch that with the 10-foot pole. And that shit made me so mad that I got up there and I did 7.5 minutes of submarine jokes. Like, my whole set was, and it was just
So you went deep.
I did. But no, the whole point of the set was saying, like, you guys are pretending you care these people died, and you don't actually. You're postulating right now. I think that's bullshit. I was like, it's not it just was a whole thing, but it ended up being funny. It was funny because everybody was like, yeah, we are, like, making this a massive deal in the room when it just doesn't need to be, like. So it was a fun set, but I threatened to do shadow puppets on the wall of the submarine's final moments, and then did it, and that got more laughs than I've gotten all year because everybody was being like, I was holding up a mirror to everyone's hypocrisy. It was like, you don't care about these billionaires. How many billionaires do you know? You don't.
Well, I think Green Jelly said it best. You can easily entertain idiots with a silly puppet show.
Yeah.
But, when you're a comic and your time's done, hey, thank you. That's my time. Mm-hmm. My name is, you can find me. Give it up for your host. Give it up for yourselves. Tip your bartenders. Good night.
Yep.
Thank the host and stay there till the end of the show. When most of the networking and, like, booking and crazy shit happens? After the show.
Yeah, don't. Another thing that really annoys me is when people leave immediately after their set. The only time, honestly, that I respect it is if they're trying to get to their family, to work, or to another mic. Yeah. That's the only time it's okay. If you just don't want to be there for the rest of the show, why'd you come for the first one? Oh, fucking some more crowd etiquette, not just crowd, like friends and family. Don't ask me when I go on. If I invite you to a show, I'm inviting you to the entire show. Don't ask me, what time do you go on? No, you come for the entire show, or don't come at all. Because I don't want somebody coming in for just my set and then fucking off. That's a terrible look.
And as the person running the show, don't ask me when you're up. I don't fucking know. I'm winging it too.
Right.
I am.
Be present. Listen for your name. Go up. Be ready. These are all like semi-professional level like critiques of entertainment, but there is no other, like, outside of like maybe a musical open mic or like a slam poetry open mic, like. There's no other entertainment industry where you get to ask these kind of questions and waste this much time. Like, I can't imagine that anybody is going behind the scenes at Conan and being like, how much longer is this interview going to run? Like, motherfucker, as long as it needs to pay for this entire studio and for the people who work here. Like,
now, going back to the leaving, like, right after your set, I know I've only ever done it twice. Mm-hmm. One time, like, I had family coming into town. I skipped in for the show because I didn't want to miss doing it. Yep. And I was like, I got to get back. And then there was another time, and I think this would be okay. I got up on stage. I don't know, something was wrong with me. It was really hot inside the venue.
I mean, that happens in there.
And I think I was having like a heat stroke on stage. I even made the comment trying to like just burn through my set. And I even made like, like, I'm a bitch, not a witch. Could someone hand me a glass of water? And I think it just got like rolled into like, I'm just being funny. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And I was like, I've got to cut my set short.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No. Yeah. That's a great reason to leave a show for your health.
Yes. Yeah, and I was like, and I went right up to where the water is located. I got like 3 cups and I went outside to where it was cooler. And I was like, and I told the person I was with, I was like, if I pass out, we gotta go out. Right. Luckily, cooled off. It's fine. And I made it towards the end of the show, and I went back in, and I got to see some funny folks. But I really thought I was gonna fucking die.
Right.
And that's if it's an extreme case. Yeah. Don't be afraid to pull that ripcord. Now, that being said, if you are on a contract, if you are a headliner, if you have agreed to do X amount of time, you do that time. There's a great Hannibal Buress bit to where they messed up and told him the wrong thing in the wrong time. Well, you don't get paid if you don't do that time. So he did it, and it was a huge mistake, but he still got paid.
Right. Yeah. I mean, any show, just do your time. Like, and try to do your time. Like I used to run really long. If I got 5 minutes, I would do 8. And I had very gracious hosts, namely Tall Trey, who was very forgiving because I was learning a lot. Recently, I feel like I've been going short a lot. Mm-hmm. I just haven't had time to write this year, so I have like a funny thought, and I want to come up, talk about it for a couple minutes, see if there's something there, and then I write that down later. But I'm also like, with Reboot specifically, like, I feel like if somebody eats shit, you can throw me up and I'll warm the crowd.
Oh yeah, I've definitely got the
and it's
the
not
making monsters or
and it's not just
term
me,
we're going.
Right? Like,
yeah,
on every show you do, you're very good about knowing who you can organize or who you can throw up, not to save the show, but to reorder or reflow things. Like I've seen you put Vasco up after somebody who was barely audible, and he just snatches the audience's attention, or like I've seen you have put Ramon following people because he's so good at tagging on immediately previous bits. Like he's so good at that, especially crowd work. And that's just masterful production of a show.
Yeah, and that again goes into pacing and knowing what's going to hit and what needs to happen and how much time you've left. Like the show Saturday is going to be insane.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Well, not only do we have Gerald Ledger coming out of retirement.
Yep.
Because he had to take a mental health break. No shame in that.
None at all.
Probably far overdue myself. We have Miles Bunch, who Tucker has sang their praises in and out. I'm like, all right, let's see. We also have Roy Hairston coming down from, I think, Alabama.
Sweet.
To do some time with somebody else. And they're going to be crashing over here afterwards. As well as our usual band of misfits. So it is going to be a fun time. And I think some of the Atlanta comics are coming down because everybody is swarming because we do have that competition coming up in October. October 14th, I think.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Or that second Saturday is. Yeah.
A couple weeks, yeah.
Well, with that one, I'm not just, winner gets money. No. You get a website, you get a logo, you get merch made, you get an online storefront made, you get headshots. Like, it is an upgrade to your stand-up career.
Yeah, you're essentially including a press kit.
I'm giving them a press kit because nobody has a fucking press kit.
I mean, shit, I don't.
Yeah, I don't either. Like,
we will get y'all there. And press kit will be another episode. It is your online resume for entertainment, but it also gives the advertisers everything they need to promote you without knowing shit about you.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's like the amount of effort and finances you have to put into a press kit to get an actual quality one that will work for you instead of against you. Mm-hmm. Like that touches on, I think, one of the reasons I'm so passionate about etiquette at shows is because most people have no idea the amount of effort it takes, one, just to get a show, just to convince a venue to give you a night of their revenue and trust that you're not going to run business off or lose them business. Like that's probably the hardest variable in the equation. But then from the technology side of things, the sound equipment, because every room is different, you have to know how to sound check every room different, balance all the audio differently. Every crowd is different. Every comic lineup is different. Like, people have no idea.
Every comic's volume is different.
Yes. So people have no idea the level of risk it takes and the sometimes very minimal, if present at all, reward that goes into putting shows like this together. On every level, from the production side to the comic side. Like, you have no idea. Like, people who don't do comedy or have never done comedy, everybody thinks they could get on stage and do it. Very few people can. And it's a very specific, like, kind of personality that works holding a mic and telling jokes. So when somebody's a shithead at a show, that proves to me that you either are an extremely ignorant person or you're a bad person. Like, if you're just a dick for no reason, like...
Yeah, well, circling back on it takes a special kind of person to be a comic, I say this a lot. It's a lot different being funny with your friends
Yes.
than it is being funny in front of a group of strangers.
Who are expecting you to be funny. Like, very, very different.